Hi everyone, this is your favorite film critic Jay or Jalan Salah as you formerly know her. Today is another installment in my series of conversations with podcasters, cinephiles, and film lovers from all over the world where I tackle their lives, their love for cinema, and more. Today I have a great new friend that I made on Twitter, and I'm just so happy to talk to him today. Mitch Cassidy is someone I knew through my latest Twitter inquisitions and escapades, and he is an avid podcaster, host of YouTube channel Primetime Mitch Movie Reviews for the Average Movie Lover, and he was a scarer, he is a scarer. This is something that we can figure out today. So, Mitch, just happy to talk to you today.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Okay, I want to know your film loving, let's say, we can say career, we can say seeking a path of loving film and talking about film and podcasting about film. How did it start and where?
Well, basically, it's something I've had a big passion for quite a long time, but I spent about 20 years in jobs I didn't enjoy, and I'm a creative person. So I think I've sort of paid my dues in warehouses and factories and things like that. So I decided one day I was just gonna stop everything. I quit my job. I left the town that I'd lived in for 37 years, and I moved away with my partner, and I began a YouTube channel in the hope that it would get my foot in the door doing something I'm good at or something I enjoy for once. So that's where the film passion comes in, because it's the one thing I think that's very there's less toxicity in movies, in the horror community especially. There's so much joy in it, and it's a good place to be around. And I thought, well, this would be the perfect place to be to start basically a brand new life. So I made the channel, and I started off talking about not just horrors, but classic movies, old movies from like the 50s, things like people were doing a lot of content on those. And also deliberately bad movies. I was doing content on them as well. So I'm a big lover of all genres, horror in particular, but it's a big life change to talk about it online and do this channel. So I'm still a rookie, but it's a passion that's carrying me, and it's carrying me very quickly as well, I've found.
Okay, so you mentioned something that's I find really interesting. You said that the horror community has less toxicity because I've been on a lot of fandoms and I've heard some of my friends are like avid sci-fi fans and they talk about how horrible my friends who are gamers, women gamers say that it's very misogynistic
Hmm.
and very gender biased. So I want to know what is different in the horror community that made you feel welcomed.
Well, for a start, I kind of compared it to the communities I've been in before. One of them being football or soccer to you over here, absolutely the worst. The other one being wrestling. I'm a big wrestling fan, but I don't like a lot of the aspects of the communities there. And this one was just there's more, even though there is some, because I think it exists everywhere now, sadly. But I feel like with films there is more acceptance that one person's trash is another person's treasure. And there's so many subgenres as well. There's something for everybody. And I think that that's what I find different about this community. I'm not saying it's perfect. I mean, I've not got successful enough yet to deal with all the trolling that goes on. That's an ambition, strangely. You want to see all that because it means you're doing well. But I've just found it very welcoming. I'm a part of a few groups as well, chat groups, things like that, where people are always encouraging each other, always sharing each other's stuff, always take a keen interest in what you do. And I've never seen that anywhere else. So up to now, it's been good.
I think part of the communities that I love too is underground promotions. We're both part of that on Twitter. And I feel like the community there is very supportive and you share and people share your stuff. And I don't see honestly bullying or anyone being
No.
negative. So I think this is also a great group to belong to. And this is why I keep adding my friends like, hey, you have a podcast, you can always find potential podcast guests or just have people sharing your stuff and celebrating you. So I love it when there is at least a quiet place where you can belong to on the internet, which is a rarity these days, unfortunately.
I agree. And I mean, I don't get into the like, particularly the one on Twitter X you were talking about, is that I'd love to be in that one more, but every time I have a really busy month, I've got to prioritize certain areas. And I am going to make it a New Year's resolution to be more active in these groups because I do love being part of them and I do respect everybody in them. But yeah, I just there's a better feeling in and amongst it. I think, and I've never really had too much problem. I think the people that cause problems tend not to be that passionate. They're either too passionate or they're not passionate at all. But I think the ones that sort of are very, very passionate about it tend to have a good opinion on it, and they will talk in depth. Whereas those that aren't, just it's one negative comment and then gone.
Great. Okay, so you worked as a scarer, at least for a very short span of your life. What I want to know, because I go to horror houses and I love getting scared, but I always think about the person behind the mask, the person in a costume scaring me. And I want to know what would be the mentality. And you said that the job is actually physically demanding. So I want to know more about this job. How do you apply to it? What are the pros and the cons? What wasn't there for you?
Well, it was, I was curious about it for a while. I haven't been to a lot of Halloween Horror Nights and scare mazes. I'm not one of those that goes to everyone and around the country because I know people that make videos based on that alone, and Halloween is like the boom season. But I don't, but I did go to one last year, and I watched the guys doing what they do, and I thought that would be so much fun. Just to get a reaction out of people and be something else and make them feel uneasy enough to respond to you in a way like that. So then every little response is sort of a victory for you. And I gave it some thought. I've dressed up as Freddy Kreuger before for Halloween parties and things.
Ooh.
So I've always wanted to do the real makeup for that and do it properly. But I've sort of improvised with that and enjoyed it. So I didn't know how to apply to it, and then I saw an advertisement. It just popped up on my Instagram one day. We are looking for casting, and I hovered over the button for so long when I'd written the application out, and I hovered over the send button for ages because I do have a lot of anxieties, and my confidence levels could be better. Working on that. And I sent it, and they came back to me and said, "We like your profile. Here's a date to come and do an audition." I was terrified of the audition, and it's daunting, but at the same time, it's fun because there's a lot of people there that haven't ever done it before, and you've got to remind yourself of that all the time. And yeah, we did some movement around a big room. You had to sort of walk in a way that you would consider scary, like a zombie or like a wolf or whatever you consider Frankenstein or something. Just channel something inside you and make the noises and try and imagine yourself as a character. Then they put the masks on you and see how you work with the mask and everything, because that's how more on that later. And then it's your turn to try and scare individual members of the group that you're paired with. I don't think I particularly scared my partner on that occasion, but they're sort of looking for the attitude. And I think sometimes I know this is I don't like to say this, but it is absolutely true that sometimes they will have a character and you could have the physical characteristics of that character. And that is a certain percentage of you getting that role. As long as you're not terrible in the acting sense and you're not completely clueless, they see you and go, "We want you for that role." And that's funnily enough what happened to me. And they pulled me aside and they said, there was, I think it was a group of about 25 or 30 of us. And they said, might have been more, but they said, you guys have passed the test. And there was me and one other girl who had no acting experience. Everybody else had it. So that was like, why have you picked me? What have I done? You're always asking that question. And I never really got the answer until I got there. And yeah, you go there and they give you they said, this is the script and this is the character that we've chose for you because of this, this, and this. And in our case, we got a rehearsal and a dress rehearsal, and then it was showtime. So we didn't get very long at all. But it is a daunting experience. But at the same time, there is a lot of adrenaline and excitement that gets you through it. Yeah, it's the one thing I will say though is our particular maze was inside a legitimate haunted asylum.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah,
Okay, tell me more. So you worked
yeah,
in a haunted asylum. Wow.
yeah, yeah. It used to be. It was an asylum, it was an orphanage, it was a care facility
And
with some
lots
very
of
questionable,
tormented
horrific
souls.
methods used in
Exactly.
it.
Like lots of tormented souls, I believe.
Yeah, and apparently it, yeah, loads of them apparently because they do ghost hunts there and stuff. They were actually in there after we left, so people go around with the machinery and the counters and everything and test for the
The
ghostly
EMF and
activity.
stuff like that, like
Yeah,
supernatural.
that's
Oh,
it.
wow. Oh.
Mm.
Oh my God, I would never go to a haunted asylum. I would be so scared. I don't know, because I'm very superstitious. So, like something fake, fine, but an actual place, not me, not this gal.
And it's always lit up as well, like with like dark green and red and everything, so it looks 10 times worse as well. So when you're walking out, the whole corridor is green, and there's like a red door at the end of it. It's pretty terrifying as a setup, really.
Yeah, so definitely this is not for the faint of heart then,
No,
this job. Oh my
not
God,
at
I
all.
could tell. Oh my, because I interviewed like years ago a woman and she was like really at peace with it, which is why I felt like, but it was unfortunately a written interview. So for me, it was like, whoa, girl, you are so brave, you are so strong. And she was like, no, I'm not. But now when I'm talking, thinking about it, no, this girl actually didn't really know her worth. I wish I could say her again. So, oh my God, okay. Your obsession with A Nightmare on Elm Street. Why in particular this film? Like, why do you like Freddy Krueger? Because obviously you're wearing the t-shirt.
Yeah, it's strange really because my first ever horror film experience was Wes Craven's New Nightmare from 1994. So it was a long way into the franchise. And I watched it because I was having an argument with one of my friends, and his sister, who was babysitting us, said, "I'll let you watch a horror film. Parents don't know if you just stop arguing." So she put that movie on, and I was fascinated by him, and I wanted to know more because I love the idea of the vulnerability when you're asleep that you can't do anything about what happens to you. So, like in most slashes and horrors, you're saying to the girl who's running away, "Why are you running up the stairs? Why are you going in that direction? Why didn't you do this, that, and the other?" If you're asleep, you can't help what you're doing. And I thought that was a brilliant sort of twist on the survival aspect of horrors and slashers. And plus, I think Freddy is so iconic and identifiable as well. He's got so many traits that you can talk about in everyday situations. You know, you grow your nails too long, oh, you look like Freddy Kreuger, or that kind of thing. So, yeah.
And a sense of humor as well, I
Oh, yeah.
feel. Yes.
Yeah. And I tried to channel a lot of him when I was doing the acting as well.
Wow, that's so impressive. Okay, so what about the horror genre that you love? What do you think is appealing about horror in general for us, especially movie lovers? Because I feel like many movie lovers are actually horror lovers, and then it sometimes expand. Like not all, of course, there are unique individual experiences, but I met a lot of people like that. It usually starts with the horror film you saw in your childhood, and then boom, the magic of cinema kind of like takes you in.
I think with horror, because there's so many terrible things going on in the world, I think, and in every day, you know, it could even be just down the road from you. I think horror is a release and an escape. I think it gives you the opportunity to be afraid in a safe environment, and that's something that everybody, you know, because fear is sort of an emotion. It's there's an adrenaline and an excitement attached to it when you watch a movie, but fear in reality is a horrible emotion. I think it's a safe fear, horror, and it gives you, and not only does it scare you, but it also can make you laugh.
Exactly.
It can pull on the emotions. It can tug the heartstrings. It can do everything. You can do everything with horror, and it's there's so many. Like I said, there's so many subgenres. There's so many different kinds of horror. Whereas you look at like sort of movies in general, you look at action movies and drama and things like that. They're all sort of in there's a couple of categories, but they're not as vast as horror. You like found footage, sci-fi horror, body horror, creature features. There's just so much branching off each other in horror, and it's so many different ways to be afraid, so many different ways to get some adrenaline. And I think that that's why it's popular. I think it because it is a safe escape and a safe fear.
So obviously you like slashers. Is there any other horror genre that is your favorite?
Uh, yeah, I think I enjoy paranormal when done well. I do find this is why acting at that place was sort of unsettling. Is I do have a thing for ghosts and how they're not supposed to be there, and there's that unnatural feeling
Yes.
about them. So when you do a paranormal program well or a paranormal film well, you've hooked me. When I was a kid, there used to be a program. I always talk about this when I've spoken to people on podcasts before, but I always like to fly the flag, particularly to people from America and stuff as well. I've never heard of it. There was a program called Strange But True in Britain, and it aired about 9 p.m. on a Saturday night, and it was just ghost stories from around the country, but they were reconstructed. So they would show people in, like acting it out. But because it's the 90s and because the picture was grainy and usually the like for example one of them was the Enfield haunting, so it was like the grimy little house on the corner of a standard suburban street, and it was just how gritty and dirty it all looked, which terrified me as a kid, and I didn't want to go to bed after I watched it. So that is always hard hitting for me. I think I love a good creature feature as well. I was always fascinated with uh, werewolves when I was a kid, and I even like Greek mythology and Medusa and things like that. I love creatures, so that's something I enjoy too. Again, when it's done well and it's practical. But I think slash is always king for me because that's what started it.
Yeah. Okay, so give me like five films from different subgenres in horror where you feel like they're the pinnacle or they're the defining of that genre for you, for Mitch.
Oh, okay. Uh, all right. So for slasher, I'm gonna say Freddy because I am a Freddy guy. My partner is a Michael Myers guy. She would say Halloween any day.
I'm sorry because my cat is acting
Oh, it's
crazy. Yes,
okay.
yes. I was telling
Can
someone to
edit
get the
that.
cat. Yes, continue. I'm listening.
So yeah, my partner's a Halloween person, so she loves Michael Myers, but I'm gonna go with Freddy on that just because of how unique and different he is. But I do realize Halloween started a great deal of it
But
off.
Michael Myers is
Mm,
great and scary in his,
yeah,
I don't know, in his blankness, in his meddling with, and also because it's suburbia, like it's a suburban horror story. And
yeah,
this is what makes it, I think, more even impactful. So I totally agree with her, but also with
yeah.
you. Yeah, but I want you to continue.
I I'm not a massive sci-fi person, to be perfectly honest, but I think obviously Alien paves the way. I think it's, I think I'm maybe controversial opinion, but I think that Alien is more sci-fi than it is horror, despite it being horrific. If you were going to go sci-fi horror, real horror, I would go with Event Horizon.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think found footage has been absolutely saturated now, but I do think that again, many people would disagree, but many people also would agree is that Paranormal Activity's impact was enormous, and I think that's king of the found footage slash
Yes.
paranormal. And what I will say as well, I do actually have a genuine fear when it comes to movies that really get to me, and I have a problem with them, and that is the outback lunatic, crazy hick inbred kind of thing. You know that Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the
Or
first,
Hills Have Eyes or something
and
like that.
that
Yeah, oh
kind of
my God.
movie,
Because my
they get to
mom,
me.
she's a crazy avid horror fan. Like
Mm,
top 250 horror films, she watched all of them. And I just showed her the new Hills Have Eyes. She was like, this is too much. So seriously, the idea of the mutated creatures feasting
yeah.
on humans and kind of like cornering regular idiot people just having fun or getting lost in the that's like,
Yeah,
oh my God,
I
it's a
think it's the
nightmare.
isolation as well.
Yeah,
There's so much isolation out there, you can't get away. And if you do find help, they're usually attached to the people. Like you see in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, she runs for help, and the guy is one of the family. That
exactly.
scares me to death.
Me too.
I'm terrified of the original Texas. I think it's the greatest horror film of all
Me
time, personally.
too. Brilliant. And the idea also for me is the wrong turn because
Mm,
it's also very vulnerable. The idea of you, okay, so should I go left or right? And the one you pick is the one that leads to your demise. This idea, okay, because
yeah,
it's like it's very human and very regular thing. It's even a choice in life. Like, okay, what if I cross the street, but it was my end? You know what I mean? It's a very fateful thing. And I don't know, when horror gets really close to reality for me. And in the dark, sinister turn of events, I find it just as
That's
well.
genuinely terrifying. Wrong turn. I mean, it has one scene in it to me that stands out is where they find all the cars from everybody that have been there before, and they're like, "How are they getting away with this?" And I it really used to chill me. And it's sort of I've always had a problem with those movies. In terms of they get to me, they really tap into a fear. I drive nightmares about that kind of thing. There was an episode of X-Files. It was like called Family or something like that, where it was all like inbreds, and that terrified me as well. So that's actually a weakness when it comes to horror that I think it's brilliantly successful, and I really appreciate it, but I really struggle watching it without being really unsettled.
I hate the Goldilocks. I call it the Goldilocks horror too. The idea of you walking into the wrong house or sitting with people thinking, wow, look at this welcoming family. I'm getting
Yeah,
lost in a foreign country and they're actually cannibals and they're gonna eat. This
yeah,
too unsettles me because it's like, okay, the familiar horror, the horror of people who are too friendly, who actually have a darker side and you wouldn't
yeah.
suspect, which is why I don't like I like people who are in your face, I'm an asshole, great, but people are like, I'm kind and loving and I love butterflies. But what about your dark side, buddy? So yeah, I hate that
Well,
too.
you're a Supernatural fan, are you? You're a Supernatural fan.
I
Yeah.
adore,
Well, there's
especially the first 5 seasons. Oh my God. Tell me.
well, there's an episode in that taps into that, and it's the one where they're doing all the fairy tales.
Yes!
And they go to the old lady in the
Yeah,
house
with
who's
the
poisoning that couple. Yeah,
exactly. Oh my goodness. And there's also another one in the Christmas episode where it's like the guy and the lady and they take them hostage and they take out
with
the
bells
nails.
on. Yeah,
Oh my God. They were great at that. They really captured like how
yeah.
this cute couple, this beautiful little girl, like these people, and they have a darker kind of like psychopathic side
The
to them.
pagan thing going on, haven't they? Yeah.
I adore this so much because it's just so good. Oh my God, and Supernatural got it so well, especially in the beginning. Oh my God, I just can't get enough. But seriously, I love horror that is playing on that fine line between what is real and what is fiction, or what is so far away from you, but also so close to you. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Also, another breed of genre of horror that kind of scares me is the idea of what people might do for revenge, or like someone who made a like a curse that is very evil. Like I remember that silence, it kind of unsettled me because
Oh yeah.
goodness, you just wanted to take out the tongues of every single person who hurt you, not even them, their kids and their grandkids, because it kind of like tackles on the evilness of people. And when you interact with people on a daily basis, or you meet a lot of variety of people, and you see, like this person stole this from that one, or this did this to this people's children, you don't think these things are that far away from you. You know what I mean? Like they're not that far from your world, even how far people would go to avenge someone who hurt them and take it out on their kids or so I don't, so this brand of horror too is like to me.
Yeah, and I also find like you mentioned sort of the curse kind of thing, things like witchcraft and stuff. You're never really quite sure just how real that is, and I think that's a cool thing about that. It's the same as when you look at exorcism movies and you look at the Ouija boards. You're never sure how true all that is, and you wouldn't go near one or test it out. And I think that it's that uncertainty, and horror always plays on the fear of the unknown. I think
Exactly.
that, yeah, I think you're definitely right on the curse thing. That's always hit my
But also
curiosity.
because I had people in my family and some of my friends who played with summoning ghosts and spirits, and it turned out really shitty. This is why I feel like, oh, when I feel people like, yeah, I could do this for fun, there was a question, one of our dear friends on Twitter was like, would you do the Bloody Mary? And I was like, absolute,
No,
you don't meddle with these things, guys. This is not fun. You
no.
seriously, this is why there was this film, Talk to Me, with the cursed hand.
Yes, I know. Talk
Oh
to me.
my goodness. Why would you do this, you idiots? Why would you do this dare or whatever? So I was always, because when you were younger, when you were a teen, you could go into dares and stuff like that with your friends in the adrenaline rush of it all. But I'm always like, yeah, even if people are like, oh, you're scared. Yeah, I am scared. Better scared than sorry, baby. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Agreed. Yeah, it's good to be scared. I think
Yeah.
if you don't feel anything, then what's the point?
What's the point? Exactly. What's the point? Yeah, so definitely. So what is next for Primetime Mitch?
Well, in terms, it's all gonna be online because I won't be doing the scare acting. Yeah, that was. yeah, my body just did not enjoy that. So I will be doing a lot more this coming year because we're moving house. So I'm going to be building a brand new studio. I'm getting some brand new equipment. So it's going to be like a brand new era because a lot of what I've had here has been makeshift. I've just put it all together for the time being. So my studio initially, if you see the previous videos on my channel, it's just walls of posters and no wall space where I've stuck them all together. So I've had to pull all that down this month. But the next one's going to be crafted and it's going to look really nice. I've got some ranking videos to put out this in the turn of the year. I'm doing best disaster movies, which I'm looking forward to. I'm also going to be doing themed seasonal videos, so best summer movies to watch in summer, things like that. I'm also going to be debuting an idea where I get a dartboard and I put a actor's face on it and then all his movies around the board and I throw the dart blind and whatever I land on I review it, that kind of thing. So
That
there's
is
a
so
lot
cool.
coming. I've also got a couple of interviews that I've got lined up, one coming out this Christmas with Chris Stanley, the prop builder and actor and YouTuber. He's fantastic content. I'm looking forward to getting
Wow.
that out. That's going to be top 5 Christmas horrors we're going to be doing.
Awesome. I
So
love Christmas horror.
yeah.
Like I love holiday themed horrors too.
Mm,
Like this is something that makes me, but this was more on the exciting side. Like it doesn't scare me, like make me unsettled. It's more like fun. Yeah, bring it on.
yeah. Oh, I don't. I like reviewing Christmas horrors and seasonal horrors because I just think there's so much you can do with seasons. It's just, not just Halloween, but the fact that Christmas has this lovely juxtaposition where it's a beautiful goodwill to all men, peace and love and everything, and then you put something awful in the middle of it, and I think I love that. So
Me too.
I'm going to be re-putting out my 3 Christmas themed videos from last year because I don't have time to do any more with moving house, so they'll be going on soon as well.
Yes. Mitch, this was an amazing conversation about the nature of fear, horror, our favorite genres, and what is next for you. So thank you for talking to me.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me on.